me, we talked earlier about your collaboration and just how much of this character, how much of this emotional journey came out of your discussions. The fact that you're at a certain time in both your lives where the emotional journey, the journey to connection, the kind of letting go of certain things is very resonant. Could you talk a little bit about that?
We could. I don't know if I would make any sense about it. I would only say that, there was this. It's a very good book, and he knew how to write a sentence or two. Kurt Vonnegut wrote this book called Sirens of Titan, I think in 1957. So he was pretty prescient. But he basically said, the book begins, man flung himself like a stone into space, looking ever outward, and what he found was low comedy and pointless death. And what he learned was the true terra incognita was the landscape of the human soul. Now, it's not an anti-exploration Jeremiah or something, because it was written before, I think before even Sputnik, but the point being that the movie that we tried to make, and did make, I think, is really about our emotional lives, our interior, because you can look as far out as you want, and we should, but in the end, we can't really comprehend the infinite and that endless void. And what we have is, as corny as it sounds, we have our interaction with each other and with the planet. And it was interesting. I was on a panel just a couple of days ago with some people from NASA, and this remarkable woman who's an astronaut who hopefully will be one of the first to the moon in 2024. She said something really great. She said, without prompting, someone said, well, why spend all this money on trips to the moon, and we spend it here on Earth? And she said, because part of it reminds us how special the Earth actually is. And that's kind of what we were after, in a sense, was you have to look so far out that way to recognize that our interiority is what really needs examining. I hope this makes some sense.
It does, and it kind of tracks with a human journey, just, anybody's journey of attaining emotional maturity, I would imagine. Did you call on your own life to kind of?
Oh, you have to. Even in comedies, you have to. It has to be personal in some way. But yeah, James and I, as you see, James is very forthcoming. We've been friends since the 90s and have always had really open conversations about our humiliations and our embarrassments and just where we got it wrong. We've always kind of talked on this level, and it became the guiding, I think, principle for the shape of the scenes. But I didn't know it as much when we were doing it, but I look back now and I see, we were talking about, ideas of masculinity. We talked a lot about our own feelings of loss or loneliness or regrets, these things we all carry and do a very good job of hiding, even from ourselves most, at least our version of men. But I think there's true for all of us to some degree. And that what was it? I'm starting to babble now because I don't completely fully understand it. But this idea our character has to go to the loneliest place in the solar system to be confronted with himself and have to deal with these things, and to if he has any hopes of coming back with a real sense of peace, meaning for his life, which it feels to me the universal challenge.